Hi, I'm Hazel. It's Saturday once again, which makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, what I've been up to, and answer some of your questions. This week, ray-traced shadows were finally enabled on the Shadowlands beta. So this is a new graphics option that enables advanced shadows coming in Shadowlands. You'll need a ray tracing enabled GPU in order to use these, and it uses a good amount of resources, so you may encounter frame drops depending on your other settings in your graphics card, but they look pretty good. What this is going to do within WoW specifically, it's going to make your shadows look much sharper if they're cast by a nearby object, and then much softer if they're cast by a far away object, as well as adding much more detailed shadows from interactions between objects and light sources. So this footage that I'm showing you now has ray traced shadows enabled and turned all the way up to the highest setting. I am planning on a more detailed side-by-side comparison video coming up pretty soon. If you have a capable graphics card, you can test this out on either the Shadowlands beta if you have that, or the PTR if you don't have beta. For me, in order to get this working, I needed to update my graphics card drivers, but also get the feature update to Windows 10. It would not work for me without both of those things done, so if you have the right GPU and you just can't get it running on PTR, double check that your graphics card drivers and your Windows updates are up to date. In Shadowlands news this week, it has come to light that there will be diminishing returns on secondary stats in Shadowlands. So that contrasts to the system we have now, where you can just have as much haste or crit or whatever as you can wear, and it will continue giving you more and more, haste or crit or whatever, until you just can't hit your buttons fast enough or everything's critting or whatever have you. You can get to some pretty crazy levels of secondaries currently, and that's pretty normal for ends of expansion. So that is changing in Shadowlands. It has been data mined and interpreted, and full credit to the Simcraft Discord for finding this out, interpreting the data, and bringing it to light. So essentially the way this is going to work is that your stats will continue to work normally up to a certain threshold, which is 0 to 25%. So let's imagine that I'm stacking haste, and I get myself up to 25% haste. At that point, there's going to be a 10% reduction in the amount of haste I get from haste rating until I reach 34%, when it bumps up to a 20% penalty. At 42%, there's a 30% penalty. At 49%, there is a 40% penalty. And at 106% secondary effect, you are capped and you cannot get any more benefit from getting more of that stat. When I read about this, I was a tiny bit surprised that we didn't already have this, because when you think about it, the current system of just slowly ramping up straight to the moon over the course of an expansion and then hard resetting is a little strange, We start out very small in terms of like how much haste or crit or mastery that we can get, and then by the time that we get to the end of the expansion, after all of these raid tiers of item level bumps and whatnot, you just have so much of it on that, like new strange interactions and rotations are cropping up, and the whole game, it just feels massively different, so that as you step into a new expansion and everything gets kind of reset, all of a sudden you feel like you're walking through molasses. My hope is that this change makes balancing specs easier without needing to consider how they might perform at crazy levels of stat stacking. And I hope it also pulls back on the need to start us off so low in secondaries, because they know that we're going to get to those heights eventually, with limits on the amount of an individual secondary you can benefit from. Presumably they don't have to cut us off quite so harshly at the beginning. That's just my speculation. Perhaps they will anyways, but we can hope. It's going to be interesting to see how possible it is for the average player to reach these caps and these breakpoints, particularly just like in everyday gear in the first couple of patches. It's very possible that this is something that won't come up until like a year and a half down the road. One thing that I do hope they do with this change is communicate it clearly in-game, so that players that, heard haste was their best stat and started stacking it, but don't sim their character every week, will know when they've reached a point where they should maybe consider wearing something else. It would be unfortunate if that was just left for the people that are willing to search out simulations and not easily available info in-game. Other Shadowlands updates of the week: the requirements for the guide mentor system coming in Shadowlands have been adjusted. So if this is the first time that you're hearing of it, in Shadowlands there will be a system where experienced players can designate themselves as a new player mentor. They will have a special mark in the world to identify them to new players, and they will also get access to a new player chat channel where they can answer questions. So the new requirements to qualify you to be a mentor: you need to be level 50, you need to have at least 3,000 quests completed, and then 2 of the following criteria. So you could be max level with 3 classes, rival in BFA's Season 4, you could have Season 4 Keystone Conqueror, which is a +10 Mythic Plus key in time of every BFA dungeon in Season 4, Carapace and N'Zoth killed, and there's no difficulty indicated there, or all Titanic research purchased. So from those items, pick 2 basically in order to qualify. Honestly, this all seems fine to me. I have seen some concern that the N'Zoth requirement being doable on LFR kind of cheapens that, and I don't agree, because on one hand, you could just as easily not have killed N'Zoth at all, but fulfilled 2 other requirements from that list. The 3 characters to 120 and the Titan Research in particular don't require any special skill level, just persistence, so you can do that even if you can't get into a raid group. But LFR N'Zoth is frightening to me, and I have ahead of the curve. I have killed Heroic N'Zoth many times, and I have never killed LFR N'Zoth, and honestly, I'm scared. That sounds harder than Heroic, because, you know, unless you're going into LFR with an organized group, good luck. I wish you the best. In my life this week, I have been playing a lot of WoW. I've been kind of wrapping up like end of expansion goals. Not things that were necessarily deadlines, but just some, you know, little checkpoints off the list. I got my Mythic Jaina mount. I got my Vicious White War Saber. I've been trying to get the last couple of battle pets that I need, and just having a lot of fun doing Mythic Plus dungeons. I have been healing them as a Holy Priest, which I have been informed is not good, but it seems to be working well enough for me, and I've been having a great time, so I'm looking forward to doing that, potentially even more in Shadowlands. And then IRL, it's been very warm here, so we've been just staying inside and huddling by the air conditioners, which we would have been staying inside anyway, so that's not all that different. I do need to get myself some more potting soil. I've showed you this plant before, so I figured I would do a little update. My Monstera here, I got it like a big new pot, and it's completely filled this one. And I'm just so happy. I think I showed you guys when it got its first leaf with fenestrations. It's continued doing those. Although I will say it's grown very laterally. It's very wide but kind of narrow because I keep it like behind a curtain in front of a window because it likes the light there. But I need to pot this thing up because it's just wall-to-wall roots in there. I was trying to fit one of those moisture meters in the pot to check to see if it needed water, and I couldn't get down there because it was just too dense. So I gotta get myself some potting soil. And questions for this week. Carrie asks, are we still going to be able to do visions in Shadowlands? I'm worried I'm not going to get the vendor mount in time. No worries at all. You can still do visions in Shadowlands. The only thing about horrific visions that there's any kind of a timer or deadline on is the Mad World achievement for the Faceless One title, and that is from doing 5 mask full clears solo in both visions. Everything else, all of the pets, the Male Muncher, the Wicked Swarmer, the Backpack Transmog, all of that you can continue to farm in Shadowlands and forevermore. You'll still be able to do the assaults to get the coalescing visions, to get entries to visions. Nothing is changing there. So no worries, no rush, you've got time. And Alejandro asks, where did you find those canvas expansion prints? I've answered this one before, but I feel like it's probably good to revisit it now and then because it comes up pretty often. Those are from the Blizzard gear store. Basically, if you see me with WoW merch, except for my apron, the rest of it is all from the Blizzard gear store, so if they don't have it up on the store anymore, it probably means they're no longer carrying it, which is usually true. They cycle merch through quite often. So they no longer have the expansion prints on the gear store, although they do tend to do a new one for each expansion. I haven't seen a Shadowlands one yet, but we'll see. However, they do have WoW canvases on the gear store. It's just not these ones. They have an Anduin one, they have a Sylvanas one, and then they have this one called There Will Be No Glory Today. And those ones are a bit more expensive, but they're also larger, is my understanding. So if you're looking for decor for your WoW setup, that is the closest thing that I can suggest to what I have back there. And that has been my week. Thank you very much for watching. If you have a question that you'd like me to answer in one of these news videos, please leave it in the comments of the most recent one and include the hashtag AskHazel in order for me to find your question. I know that's cheesy, but it would really help me out. So please include that hashtag in your comments somewhere, beginning, end, doesn't matter. Just have it in the comments somewhere so I can find it. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.